Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, checking in with a weekly garden tour to round out the month of January. We have been exceptionally cold. We actually did get snow over last week, and there are actually some areas where there's still snow on the ground, which is very unusual. But thankfully, we have got a nice warming trend. We have 60 degrees in the forecast for later this week. So I'm hopeful that means that there will be more seedlings to start germinating. But really, I wanted to first thank you all and thank everybody for coming out to yesterday's whiskey class. It was the most remarkable experience. Katie and Cole, the owners of Shake It Up North Carolina, are outstanding teachers. They really provided the most comprehensive experience that I think anybody could have asked for. They had a PowerPoint. They went in depth on 5 of the major whiskeys. Then they went into detail on how to make your own simple syrups and your own bitters. Really cool, interesting bitter flavor combinations. And then everybody got to make 3 classic cocktails. So they made old fashions, whiskey sours, and Manhattans. And it was a fabulous time. It was a really great experience. I'm super excited about getting more cocktail classes and mocktail classes booked with Katie and Cole because they truly are the most remarkable teachers. So I hope that you will check out my website. We are aiming for early summer dates, so really looking at June and starting to do more classes at that season later in the early evening. Realistically, probably I'm thinking like 5 to 7 or 6 to 8. We'll have to see how the schedule works out. Now, I also wanted to share that I've updated the classes that are coming up, and I wanted to just go over those really quickly. Maybe one of these will strike your fancy. I would love for you to come out. Next Sunday, February 2nd, from 1 to 4 p.m., we are doing our first Sip and Stroll garden tour and propagation session, which is why it's 3 hours long. We're going to do a comprehensive garden walk, see everything that's going on in both yards. Then we're going to come back into the greenhouse. We're going to do a big seeding session with cool season veggies and hardy citrus. All attendees are going to go home with lots of stuff to be able to grow. The following Saturday, February 8th, from 2 to 4 p.m., we're going to do a build your own succulents garden. We're going to raid my succulents collection, and all attendees will be going home with a unique container for them to grow out. The following day, on Sunday, February 9th, from 11 to 12 p.m., we have yoga in the greenhouse with Michelle. Michelle is also the most remarkable yoga instructor. Her breathing work is incredible. It's only $25 a person. We've done it before, so we know that it's a really incredible experience to have this session here in the greenhouse. It's very regenerative. So I hope that you will check out those offerings, and then I will be putting together a plan. I'm aiming to do one class in early April, probably April 6th. I haven't decided what that class will be. And then we'll be really working hard to fill out a summer schedule in hopes of being able to offer a wide variety of classes, including art classes and cocktail and mocktail classes, charcuterie boards, and of course gardening classes, because, well, that's sort of the heart and soul of the greenhouse. So I put a link in the description so that you can see more information about these classes that we have scheduled for February. Hope you'll consider coming out and attending one. So far, everybody seems to really enjoy themselves, and it's just really like a dream being realized for me to be able to bring people into my space, be able to share practical information in a real living garden setting. Well, let's go outside. There's not a lot to report. And it was so cold last week, I didn't get any gardening done other than the fact that I threw seeds into snow, So it's very reminiscent of my growing up in Michigan. But I'm really excited to show you guys an update from the Blue House renovations, which are going very, very smoothly. I'm very optimistic that the Blue House will be back on the Airbnb app maybe within 2 weeks, which is fantastic news. So without further ado, let's head on outside. Well, nothing to report here. This seed got sown a week ago, no germination. I did water because we're actually very dry. Maybe not droughty dry, but we're dry. And did the same thing here. Again, this just has been sown a week and it's been a very cold week. Look, you can see there's still snow here on the north side of the greenhouse. But happy to have these planted, and I'll be really, really happy when I start to see seeds germinating. Same thing here in this bed that, I'm just realizing I never marked what I sowed and the date. I need to go ahead and do that. I have to go back through YouTube video to get that information. But you can see how dry it is. So I probably need to go ahead and actually, bring out the hose and water because this is really dry. I'm not realizing when we are getting little bouts of moisture, it's not substantial enough. So that is definitely one of the things that's impeding seed germination. Just the general dryness of the top layer of the compost. But speaking of seeds germinating, I did want to show that we do have some cauliflower and broccoli germinating. These are what got sown on the 13th of January. And again, usually they germinate faster, but it's been a real winter here in North Carolina. You see none of the hardy citrus has germinated yet. But I think maybe this week being, where it's actually going to be 60 degrees outside, I think that's going to help speed some of this up. I've got Soil Cube getting delivered tomorrow, so it's going to be my main workspace over there. So I'll have the Soil Cube dropped there. I'm going to have one bag dropped here so that I can really build out this area where we did the bed extension and then get this seeded once and for all for the season. The deer have been ravaging everything. It is really discouraging. You can see, that's a camellia. They've eaten basically every leaf off of it. So yeah, it's something. It's something. More to be done here, again, with soil, be able to kind of better define where the bed edge is going to be and then get it seated proper. And I didn't do any seeding in here. I actually have a really awesome homeschool group coming, and I thought it would be fun for the kids to be able to take this bed on and, teach them what weeds look like versus what good plants are, and then get it seeded with poppies so that this will be a really dynamic space for mid-May when we are on the Fuquay Garden Tour. I mentioned the deer. That was a newly planted camellia. Here is what the deer are doing to established camellias. And I need to do this immediately, bring over much taller cattle fence panels so that I protect this poor plant. But it's definitely, the deer pressure is continuously getting worse. And at some stage, plants that deer like so much, like camellias, maybe just aren't going to be the most practical plant for me to have, which brings me zero happiness. It makes me actually really mad, and I just want them to stop developing. I'm actually sort of surprised that these broccolis are really even still alive from as cold as it's been and the amount of ravaging they've been getting from the deer. I've been having a lot of issues with the garlic heaving out of the ground. And again, that's from the cold. Typically we haven't been this cold in a long time. And So some lessons there. No germination here, and this was actually sown on December 31st. But here again, garlic heaving out of the ground. So get it back buried. This is not something that I've really ever had to deal with before. So just try to deal with it. Another one. It's rooted. You can see it's rooted really well, but it needs to be not at the surface. And again, no germination. Really kind of an anticlimactic garden tour, to be perfectly frank. Obviously, I haven't done any mowing because it's just been too cold, but I'm hoping that I'm going to get to that this week, because this is at the perfect stage. It's really crunchy, mows down really, really easily. And, you know, that'll be what I do for that whole border as well. So the phlox and all the mums that you can see. And I haven't been watering over here. We actually did have a water break over here at the greenhouse. So I don't think I actually currently have water out here. And I don't see any germination yet. But hopefully soon. Well, I'm disappointed to see that the Alstroemeria has, you know, been hit pretty hard by the cold. I'm not surprised. This is pretty normal. It's totally a perennial plant. It's just that in some winters, it stays really beautifully evergreen, and I can use the foliage in floating arrangements. Right now, I have nothing, no flowers, no nothing to be able to use in floating arrangements, which is unusual because the last few years, we've had a lot of stuff in full bloom in the end of January. I have not dealt with hellebores, but that does need to get done because you can see the flowers are starting to bud up. And of course, they just look so much better with the old foliage cut off. I could cut back that fern, which again, in some years has been fully hardy and upright, but not this year. Good time to go ahead and mow back the Tricertus. You can see some color on October Affair. Maybe this week some flowers will open, but you know, a lot of cold damage from last week. I think we actually did get down to 15 degrees, which isn't like, certainly not record-breaking cold, but it's cold for us. It's cold. And coming around the front, it's sort of turning out to be an anticlimactic Prunus mume season. Although I'm glad to see lots of buds on this bridal veil and nothing open yet. Hopefully the flowers aren't all frost damaged. So I'm pretty sure that the bonita, which started to bloom a bit earlier, that all looks pretty brown. Although there look like there are some healthy flower buds still on there, but we've definitely not had the show with the Prunus mumes this year that we usually do. And you know, that's again all weather related. And this border also needs some attention. I'm aiming actually to do this with the class next Sunday, because I think in general, I think people enjoy the hands-on element. It really helps you understand exactly how to do it at your own house when you've had the experience. So this bed is definitely ready to be seeded, and now we just have to come in and do it. I'd like to do that before the daffodils get any taller. You can see there is a massive amount of daffodils all along this edge. And, you know, I don't want those to get damaged from people walking. So we are going to have to be conscientious of that. But I am looking forward to getting this bed seeded so that it will look amazing for the spring, because I don't want to wait too much longer. I want to get these things established. But now you can see by the state of the front porch that we have got some renovations in process. So let's head inside so that you can see where we're at here on the Blue House. Well, welcome inside the Blue House. That is a legitimate construction site right now. I have picked a paint color. It's just more complicated than I realized. This house, the light patterns are so different compared to the White House. So the White House, which I've had a lot of people inquire about, is a color called North Star, and it's all from Sherwin-Williams. And over there, it looks bright and amazing. Here, it's the darkest one on this wall. So I really like that kind of atmospheric pale blue, but I want this house to feel bright and fresh, even though the windows aren't that large. And I ended up landing on a color called Rain Song right here. There you go, if I can get it to focus. So Rain Song is actually this one right here. And, you know, I want the wall color to be bright, but I don't want it to be the same color as the trim. I want there to be a differentiation. I don't want it to be all white. So I'm pretty excited to have found Rain Song, and so you can see the color difference it's pretty significant. So my job for today is to paint Rain Song in areas behind like the toilet and stuff, while the toilets are out of the bathrooms. So you can see it's something. The cabinets I will be repainting black, and these are going to go into the greenhouse as part of the kitchen that we're installing in the greenhouse. So I'm really excited for that. And then the team that is doing this, they are so awesome. I feel so fortunate to have them here and to be working with them. They have been hard at it. So let me turn the camera around so you can see up close. Well, you can see the tile floor is in here in the spare bathroom. The floor in the shower has been installed. So it's really just tiling the rest of the shower. I am not having to paint a lot, but I'm gonna paint that area where you can't ever get to when the toilet's installed. You see all the different colors that this bathroom has been in the last 30 years. And obviously I'm a creature of habit. So the color I've chosen is just a little bit brighter than the color that I had put in here a few years ago. I like atmospheric, so I can't help it. I'm just excited to be able to put this aesthetic into this house. And more progress here. In the master, you can see they've gotten like the mud down on the floors. This obviously has to be all tiled still. I actually gained some space here. You can see where there had been a false wall built to accommodate that kind of insert that had been the bathtub shower. So now I've not figured out what the solution for the ceiling will be. I'd prefer not to start scraping the ceilings because like once you do one room, then you do the whole house. And I did this once already. I did scrape all the ceilings in the White House. It's a huge job. So I'll have to talk to contractors about what the best option here is. It might be just adding more popcorn in that one little section. I can't believe that I would add more popcorn, but to be honest, I know the rabbit hole that is with detexturizing ceilings, and that was not part of my plan for this renovation. I'm not like a renovation expert, but I've done enough renovations in my 45 years of life to know limitations. And the aim with this renovation was to not go down rabbit holes like ceilings. So yeah, it'll be fun to get that solved like tomorrow. Figure out what the easiest solution is to make that ceiling patch makes sense. Well, and earlier this week, I actually thought maybe that these Helleborus foetidus weren't gonna bounce back, but they're looking pretty good. Not quite open yet. They are exceptionally seedy. So my rule of thumb for these is I let them bloom, but then I cut all the flowers off. And really I do this with all the hellebores so that they don't have the ability to set seed, because I think Helleborus foetidus in particular falls into the potential category of being invasive. You can see seedlings kind of coming up all over. That's from the years when I wasn't removing the flowers. So that's my advice. If you're building a new garden, I don't think I would recommend planting these because they can really be aggressive. But if you have them, you want to stop their seed set. So removing the flowers before they have ripe seed is really critical. And out here in the native borders, I have some cutbacks to do. I did sow some poppy seeds in here when everything was snow covered. And I do have some cleanups that I'm anxious to get to out here in these borders since we've burned already. Hopefully a bunch of seedlings will start to germinate, and then these borders will be really magnificent for the spring garden tour that we're on May 17th and 18th. Right now, not a lot to show other than just like the result of our recent burn. But I know from experience that the plants are just gonna come back with so much vigor, and it really does make a world of difference burning these native plants. So though it doesn't look perfect right now, I have faith that in just a couple of months you'll never even know that we lit this stuff up. Now my main goal for this week is to come through and get the sod that we cut pulled out. You can see it's been cut back nicely. I just need to roll it up and move it, and then put down some soil cube along this edge, and I'm gonna get all of the edges of these beds seeded with California poppies, which I think will be a really dramatic addition, make the beds really look awesome for the spring. So I will make a video showing that progress. It shouldn't be hard to do. I just need to come out and do it. And I'm not gonna do it today because it's already 4 o'clock. It's starting to get cool, but I'm really excited that we have some milder temperatures coming up in the forecast. And I'm feeling confident that I'm gonna get some important garden tasks done this week to make everything, again, start to look neater and tidier and get it ready for the upcoming growing season. Well, everybody, I hope this weekly garden tour will serve as inspiration for you. I do look forward to sharing another update next week, and I hope that you will check out the link in the description to see all of the upcoming greenhouse classes that we are offering in early February. Well, as always, thanks so much for watching, and happy gardening, everybody.